Well, Mike, I suppose first of all, the first question is, how's your squad looking, given everything that went on last weekend? How are you looking for this one?
Yeah, we've obviously been a tricky week again. We've got a couple people back from the COVID situation. We've still got some isolating, and we've still got a couple of injuries as well. So we're a little bit thin on the ground, and we're just waiting now over the next 24 hours to see where we're at with everything. So we've not been able to train the way we'd want to train, but we've adapted over that. So we just got to have a look at how the players have responded who've been back today, and then going into the monitor. Because even if you come back from COVID, you can't start training straight away. There's a 4 to 5 day protocol leading up to before you can start joining in proper training. So it's not just a case of coming straight back in. So we're just planning to how we're going to approach everything in the next day or two.
It just underlines the difficulties. I mean, it's hard enough being a manager, but the difficulties of the moment in today's situation. I mean, you've got to have so many other contingencies at the back of your mind just in case things change at the last minute.
Yes, I won't lie to you. It's been difficult. It's been testing, but as a group, you looked at it last week. The lads and the club as a whole and all the staff have responded really well. You know, it's you got two ways to go in a situation. You can either feel sorry for yourself and think, "Oh no, what am I going to do?" Or you can get on with it, not get on with it, but attack the situation just like the group did last week. So that's the way we'll always approach it. We'll always try and find a way of being competitive and making sure we're best prepared as we always can be.
And I guess that you learned quite a bit about your whole pool of players last week and the spirit that they showed to come back as they did. And that must give them the belief that if they can get a result in those kind of situations, they can get results anytime.
Yeah, if you come from that situation that we had last week, and it's not just the day itself, it's the actual week leading into it and what happens leading. Everyone knows then, obviously us within the building knew players aren't going to be available, and then it's making sure that group's ready to go. But at the end of the day, they have to go out on the pitch and do that and play the game and deal with that situation. We're there to guide them and help them as much as we can. But I think it was just a sheer will, sheer determination, and like you said, it brings the group closer, and it shows you what can be achieved just through sheer hard work and mentality, with the touches of quality from the goals as well.
And it's a similar test to last week in the sense that, you know, Salford were going well. You're going now to Newport, who are third in the table, but you're only 4 points behind them. It's still very early, in the season, isn't it?
Yes, we should have another 2 points from the Cambridge game. So I spoke about that last week. We've had some feedback from the assessors about the decision. So we should be another 2 points better off, but we're not. Newport, always a tough place to go. I know the manager really well. He used to play with him at Blackpool. You've got to be physically and mentally prepared when you go to Newport to play against them. We know it's going to be a tough game, but I think it's a great challenge. I think they're the sort of games as a player and as a manager you want to be going into. You know you're going to be in for a game. For me, that's great. You know, that's a challenge. Bring it on, and that's what we're trying to relate to the players all the time when we go, whether it be at home or away. Is take on that challenge, take it on, whatever comes to you, stick together as a group and go and attack the next moment in the next game.
Thanks, Mike.
No problem.
Mike, with everything that's happened in the past week, you know, when we came into the start of the season, we spoke a little bit about the siege mentality around the club after they were, shall we say, removed from League One. Given what, I know you don't like the word relegation, so...
No, that's good. I like that, removed. That's a good one, yeah. I like that.
We'll use that. But given what's happened in the past week as well, is that sort of siege mentality being enforced even more?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, but I think for us, it's just as a group and as a manager and a coaching staff, you want to see that in your team anyway. I think that helps. It's something that helps to give your team more confidence in that, more belief in that. I think that helps in that situation that you come through and you all stick together. But it's something, as any manager to tell you, that's the golden nugget for any manager. If you can get that togetherness and that team spirit, and it's a consistent, it's the biggest thing that any manager would want. I tell you that now. If they can get that, as a starting point, they know they've got a chance of being successful, and that's what we're always trying to do.
Of course, at the start of any new season, if you're bringing new players in, you've got to bed them into the ethos of the club and your own systems. But are you seeing from those players already that they understand what Tranmere or playing for Tranmere, representing Tranmere is all about? So have we seen evidence of that already?
Yes, I think so. I think so in the games, and I think if you look at the teams we've been able to field so far since we've started the season, and even in pre-season, we've not had a chance to actually put a full, or you'd say a proper starting 11, everybody in where they needed to be. We've only had once a little bit against Cambridge, but each week, even through pre-season, this group's had to come through something. It's had to come through something. People been injured, and then things not going well for you. So each time it builds through the team, they get that resilience about them. They've had to go to pre-season games with 13 players and play against Burnley away from home and compete and go for it and graft. So they've been through that, and now that gets instilled in. But I think there's players that we've brought in this group that it's already in their character, which is a big help to start with. There's players we've tried to bring in, and the ones that are here, they've got that as a character. So I think that's always a good starting point. It helps you to work forward from there.
One we could use as an example is Kane Woolery, of course, who's had time out and was only supposed to play an hour on Saturday and ended up playing practically the full 90 and looked like he was buzzing after the game. How is he after playing such a long time?
Yeah, he's okay. He's been a bit stiff this week, as you can imagine, his first 90 minutes. But again, that's a mark of the man and the character. He could have gone to me when I was asking him, oh no, that's me, done, Gaffer. I can't do any more. But he went, no, fine, I'll get on with it. I'll go for it. I'm with you. I'll fight for you. And that's all you can ever ask of your players. If they're willing to do that for you, then you'll take that all day long. Everyone makes mistakes and things like that. But if they give you that to start with, which he did in spades the other day, the way he worked and the way he grafted, he was getting knocked around everywhere, but still kept going and did it for the team, not just for himself. So that's, the player can be unselfish and do what he needs to do to help the group. That's great.
You promised me on Saturday you were working on one or two things. Yeah. One of them's come in in the shape of Jack Young from Newcastle, a young midfielder. Can you tell us a bit more about him?
Yeah, first and foremost, I've obviously said before about thanking Newcastle for allowing us to take their player in. He's been in their 23s. He's been with the first team just after lockdown with their first team squad. It's his first loan. He's turning 20 next month, so he's not a young kid. He's got a lot about him in terms of confidence and ability. He gets around the pitch well, and he's good with the ball. He likes to take a pass, and the thing I like about him the most is he likes to play forward. He likes to try and create. He's not a midfield player, just passes back and square. He'll take a risk with the ball, which is always good in a young player, because I think sometimes in academies now they're taught to just pass back and square, but this lad doesn't. So it'd be a great acquisition to the group, give good competition in them places, and the lad's keen to come and learn and come and be part. It's his first time away from home, down on the Wirral, so I'm sure everyone will make him feel welcome. If they see him about, you can't miss him with that white hair. So no, we're made up to have the kid. He's come here to learn, but he's obviously come here to make us better as well.
Yeah, and I know you say he's not a young kid, but he is. I suppose he's not quite 20 yet. But when a young player like that comes to a side, they've travelled hundreds of miles away from where they've been based, do you have to take any sort of special measures to try and make them feel at home, or to make sure they're comfortable in the environment they're in? Yeah,
that's a great question. I must have seen through my career, I must have seen close to 100 loans now since I've been doing this. And I always say to young loans when they first come in, it's what they do themselves when they first come through the door and they first join the training group and this environment. It's how they behave with the senior pros. I've seen young loads come in within 2 days or a day's training, they're done. They come in with the wrong attitude. They come in with, well, I'm just here from a Premier League team and I just walk into your team, and they never get going. But the biggest thing for I always tell them is make sure you come in and attack. Your job is to get better, but obviously fit into this group. But we always keep an eye on them, where they're living, keep speaking to them. We always get to one of the senior pros to make sure they're around them and make sure they become part of the group. But you've got to, and again, he's 19 or 20, it's still a responsibility to the guy himself to bed into it, to this environment. We don't change the environment for him. He comes into this environment and we help him to come into our environment as well. But we brought him in knowing that he's got a good character, we've got good references on him. So that's always the stuff we always remind young players when they come here. You've got to go for it straight away. You can't wait and think I've just arrived. It doesn't happen.
Just final one from me then. You said one or two things you're working on there. We said one in already. Will there be a two? Is there any more work to do, or are we done here?
No, we're still looking. We're still looking. Obviously, it's deadlines tomorrow. So we're still looking if we can do one final little bit of business. But again, it's got to fit the group and the positions we're looking to strengthen. But we're working hard on that now to try and see if we can do one final bit of business to strengthen us up and make sure we've got the depth in the squad that we need.
Are you able to tell us what those positions are?
No. I knew you'd be the only one who was going to ask me that question, but no, not in this moment in time. I can't. I can't do that. I'd love to be able to do it, but I can't.